Well, today we have a wonderful panel going into creating crypto projects at scale. And scale means a lot of different things that we'll get into this afternoon. I'll have our panelists introduce themselves. Quickly, I'll be your moderator for today. I'm Camilla McFarland. I work leading strategy at G20 Group, a global asset manager, market maker, treasury manager firm, also a venture partner at Fabric Ventures on the VC side. So we work with lots of different projects in lots of different parts of the ecosystem. I spent most of my career at Serotonin, the leading Web3 marketing firm, and also a consensus in the Ethereum community in the early days. And I'll pass it over to Matt Senix from the Magic Eden Foundation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt, ME Foundation, and I lead the foundation, which is the steward of the protocols that power Magic Eden. And before that, I was a biz lead at Magic Eden for the last 3 years.
Hi, my name is Justin. I'm head of Asia for Alva Labs, overseeing business development and ecosystem in Asia. So I think my major involvement was MapleStory Universe out of Korea. There's Suntory, and there are financial institutions. So we're all about scaling crypto projects. So we're excited to be here.
Great, amazing. Well, we are hearing from a layer one blockchain today, and also sort of wallet market infrastructure, so different parts of the stack. To start us off and to frame the discussion, what are the key ingredients for scaling? So what are the must-haves for scaling a project? And if you will, what are the biggest mistakes some teams make? Either one of you, feel free to jump in.
Oh, man. So many mistakes we made, honestly, in the past, 3 years. And they're good mistakes because we obviously learned a lot. But I think some of the core ingredients, and I'm thinking back to the early days, is choosing that early team really wisely. And it's, early team sort of shapes the culture of the growing team so much. And I've learned this from the founders too, and watching the company grow over the years. The folks that stay do shape the culture. So I think it's sort of like a soft, thing and hard to measure, but finding these culture carriers early on that could still have the vision so many years later is super, super important. A lot of that comes from the founders, but I think I place a lot of value in finding that early team that could kind of help scale and also scale themselves over the years. So I'll just say that's super important.
Yeah. It is. It's true. If you have a culture of excellence and execution in crypto, it means the world of difference.
Yeah. I mean, I remember our early team was actually a good mix of actual degens that are in the trenches, that are trading NFTs, tokens, etc. Web2 X product leaders at big tech companies, and some of the best engineers I've ever worked with. And we have that 100x engineer that we thankfully started with. He's one of the co-founders. And so that mix was actually super important to get off the ground. It's a mix of understanding go-to-market, understanding business, understanding what the community wants, and obviously being able to execute with the early engineering team.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I think I'd probably speak from the operator's standpoint because we're a layer one blockchain, right? So I think Avalanche came to the space with a very clear vision. The future of blockchain will be many blockchains. But what I mean by many blockchains, it's not going to be a lot of general purpose blockchains. It's going to be a lot of purpose-built blockchains. Just working backwards, thought process for just scaling of crypto projects. We need millions of users and thousands of apps, but when you actually toss it in millions of users and millions of apps just into one chain, it's going to get clogged up. That's how blockchain is, because you have to communicate with different validators all over the world. It's really hard to scale technically, right? So the vision of Avalanche is most of these projects will need their own layer one blockchain, basically their own execution environment, because corporates, gaming projects, they're under a lot of compliance and jurisdictional requirements, but they see the value of using a bit of crypto, a bit of blockchain to scale the project. So there's just one game coming up on Avalanche off the grid. It's a major AAA gaming. It has 13 million users since November. It's being operated on PlayStation. It's the first game to be operating on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And it's printing more than 40 million transactions a day.
Amazing.
And last year, I think one of the days, one of the lowest days for Ethereum's transaction was like 80K, 0.8 million, right? So if you need to be a really, really scaling project, you probably need your own execution environment. So that's the vision of Avalanche, and we actually have a really easy platform to just deploy your own L1s. So that's where we're going at. Yeah.
That I would love to stay on the tech stack question for a second,
Yeah.
because obviously, there's a lot of layer one blockchains in crypto. There's a lot of block space, if you will.
Yes.
All discussion around how do they scale, and also if they do all scale and reach a level of scale, we all imagine, I think, a world where they will interoperate with each other, whether that's cross-chain bridges or some sort of interoperable tech. But if everything sort of reaches the scale that we all imagine and that we're starting to see in some cases on the gaming side or on the DPIN side, what does that world look like? If Magic Eden scales and Avalanche scales, I imagine they'll interact with each other. Either of you, where do you think of scale when it comes to sort of like interoperability?
Yeah, I'll probably start with, I'll just add on to the gaming space, right? So there's off-the-grid game, and at the same time, we also have this other major game coming out of Korea, which is Maple Story Universe. It's a game that's been here for 20 years with 250 million users over 20 years. So when there are two gamings operating on their own chains, you definitely need these two games to exchange ideas, exchange assets, exchange messages, right? So the architecture of Avalanche is basically you can deploy L1s whenever you want, and there's already a native sort of bridge and interchain messaging. So when you have a skin in this one game, and you'll be awarded, I don't know, tokens or games. So that's already built in as very crucial part of Avalanche. So I mean, I think we are ready in terms of the technicality here.
Yeah.
And from the perspective of a DApp that's grown over the years into supporting many different chains, I think what I'll say is, like, what we care about a lot is building that relationship with the user, because we're a DApp and we build UI and fun things for users, and we want to have that relationship. So that's our focus. And I think in scaling over the years and thinking about infrastructure, what I'll say is we actually don't want to spend that much time thinking about infra and scaling, and therefore what we look to do, like going forward, is actually looking at partners that have very scalable infrastructure, like L2s of the world that you could very easily build on top of. And nowadays, it's actually a lot easier than it used to be, because when we started, we built the stack from the ground up on Solana. Then we expanded onto Bitcoin, and building on Bitcoin is pretty jank. I'll just say it. It's like pretty hard. So like looking forward, I actually think a lot of content will come from the EVM ecosystem, just given how quickly you could spin up an app chain, how quickly you could have content on chain, and yeah, that's sort of like where I see the future going, and obviously that's projects like Avalanche.
Yeah, I want to move. So we've talked about tech scale. The unavoidable other part of the curtain, if you will, is the token question. And I know there's lots of projects here today thinking about launching a token, then have a token. It's sort of the oxygen in the room in crypto that keeps your project going. In a lot of ways, launching the token is your product launch. In a lot of ways, your first product launch, because it's done before you launch your tech. So it's what your consumer first interacts with. Both of you have your projects have tokens. Magic Eden more recently. Just some thoughts about how to navigate that. There's the marketing side of it. There's the capital market side of it, of good liquidity and listings and discoverability and all of it. Like, how do you approach tokens as part of the scale and ongoing scale and longevity of your project?
Excellent question, because I think there's like, you see two examples here, and like both of us, from our project perspective, we didn't choose the same path.
Right.
An L1 and L2 infrastructure companies, they have a very different goal with the token, and as do dApps. I think it's very different goals. So for us, we started out 3 years ago as a small Solana marketplace, and we were lucky to find product market fit, and we had some success in gaining users. And not all projects are like really privileged in having that. And we actually thought about when is the right time to launch a token, like over the years. And ultimately, we chose to just double down on building the business and building a better user trap. And so that's culminated over the years in expanding to different chains, launching a wallet, and now there's millions of users that use the marketplace across different chains. And thankfully, like we had the privilege of being able to wait, but the token was a very important part of the equation. And the way we thought about it was like, we'll launch it when we're ready to take the company to the next level. Is sort of how we thought about it. And when we could have that incentive lever to power products. And so that's how we thought about it, and that's what we did. When we went to market with our new wallet, we made the claim of the token exclusively available only in the wallet. And it drove a lot of users to the wallet, and people started using the wallet more. And actually, it was a great success because now there's like 100,000 users in the wallet, which we wouldn't have had if we didn't actually force them to download it, which is good. It's like a good way to like direct people to different places now that we have a scaled user base. But yeah, we chose to wait. Thankfully, we had some product market fit, and I think that's one of the key sort of questions. You have to like understand, do you have a big enough user base to sort of like power your business for the next few years? And if so, I would say double down on that and then think about the token afterward. But it does, as a crypto company, they do play important roles. So like you always have to keep it in the back of your head.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because both of you come from sort of different perspectives of the token side. You had a product because of where you sit on the stack for Magic Eden. You had a product, you had users, you had interactions before the token. But obviously, the nature of a layer one blockchain, you need the token to launch for mainnet to function, for people to use your blockchain. So how do you see tokens as part of scale?
I'm actually with Magic Eden on this. Since we're like Avalanche is layer one blockchain, so the token had to be there on the first day because it's a guest token of the network. But looking at more like crypto projects launching on this network, different networks, I think it's better to actually show conviction and earn conviction with the actual users doing the early phase. Like there are gamings with beta play that's inviting a lot of users, and they actually see the value of this project. Right, Magic Eden proved to global audience that this is going to be the leading marketplace for a different flavor of NFTs. Right, so I think it's important and better. So like, if you're really confident about your project, I think it's better to launch tokens later compared to like what we did at Avalanche with layer one, right? Yeah.
Just to stay on this topic a little more, because I know it's top of mind for a lot of people at the moment. Launching the token is just one step of it. Then you are now forever in crypto, essentially a publicly listed company with the token and a share price. You're on the foundation side now, and obviously Avalabs is funded in a lot of ways by the foundation to support the development on the network and support dApps being built on top of Avalanche. How do you think about the foundation and as part of sort of like the forever journey of keeping your project alive, being able to fund development and scale in the future as sort of like an engine to scale for your projects?
Yeah, I could go first. It's exactly what you said. Actually, it's that engine that could fund a lot of new user experiences in the future, and that's how we thought about it. But also, like how we think about the token is almost like, hey, we want people in the ecosystem that like to use the Magic Eden apps. I'll say like the apps ecosystem to actually have ownership and a stake in what's being built. So an important part of this was launching governance for it. And we wanted to make sure that our biggest believers actually have the biggest say in how it develops over the future. It's like one of the key tenets of Web3, right?
Incentive alignment.
Exactly, exactly. And so what we did is we basically gave people a staking system, and if you stake we gave them essentially like a way to choose how long they stake. And some people like that are big believers just said, I'm staking the thing for 4 years, I don't care. And when you move that little cursor over in the staking UI, you're also moving your voting power over. So we're essentially like aligning your your incentives, and we're aligning the true believers to be also the people with the most voice in the ecosystem and ability to shape the protocols and the direction. And then also what you have there is like a way, like a true 1,000 believers, let's call it, like the true 1,000 fans. And that user group, you could reward over time. You could like take them in closer into the labs and company, and bring them into the fold of development and get their feedback. And it's actually like a really good flywheel and good tool to have the community have more participation in the ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, so for Avalanche, we have Avalanche Foundation, and there's Ava Labs. So I'm actually part of the Ava Labs, and Ava Labs is actually the software service company promoting the ecosystem and the business development for Avalanche Foundation.
Right.
So we have a clear distinction in terms of roles. So the Avalanche Foundation is a nonprofit. At the same time, the people at Ava Labs, we bring expertise, and we actually bring services. Like deploying L1 takes a lot of resources. So we actually have a business that actually accrues revenue when we actually provide consultation for launching on L1. That includes tokenomics, business development. We make connections to other partners. So we actually provide professional services. So we try to keep the roles of Foundation and Ava Labs different, but we are aligned because we're all for bigger ecosystem on Avalanche.
Great. So we've covered the tech stack, we've covered the token side, the foundation side. In our last sort of minute, this is obviously the first year consensus is in Asia. How do you see Asia for the geography question? And obviously, Justin, you're head of Asia for Ava Labs, so maybe you can start us off.
Yeah.
How do you see Asia as a crucial part of scale for sort of the next group?
I think Asia is a leading geography, really, for the crypto as industry, because just looking at the names of partners that we have in Asia, it's SK, the second largest conglomerate in Korea, the MapleStory, the largest gaming studio, maybe in the whole world. One of the also Suntory is a whiskey brands out of Japan coming to Avalanche, bringing their products. So what we're seeing here is that financial institutions and corporates are curious and interested in experimenting crypto and blockchain technologies to improve their business, which we really don't have a lot in the US. So I think Asia, looking at these partnerships, is definitely leading and contributing to the industry as a whole.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Big plus one. Maybe people don't know, but Magic Eden is a really well-known brand in Western markets and English-speaking markets. But we also have a pretty big brand in places like Korea.
Yep.
60% of the trading of our token actually happens in Korea.
60%?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. 60% on Upbit only, and then so you add the other exchanges, it's actually more. And we managed to do that by building like on the ground community in these markets. And I'd say like going forward, our focus will be Asia for sure, 100%. Because one, we're underpenetrated.
Right.
And two, I think our products and the things that we build actually resonate a lot with folks. And we're starting, with Korea as the first focused market that we'll expand to in a big way. And then we're going to go to Southeast Asia and all the other markets as well.
Great to hear, Matt.
Well, that's fantastic, guys. Thank you for your time, and thank you all for coming. And everyone will be probably just outside in the back after the panel if you want to ask them questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.